Hello, everyone. Welcome to another good word from God's Word. We are here on December 18th. We are almost done with the whole year. That is crazy that we've been doing this long. But here we are, December 18th, and we are looking at First Chronicles 14. Now, if you've been watching it with us or reading along chapter by chapter, you know that I love the stories of King David, and that's where we are in First Chronicles 14. He is now officially the king of all of Israel. And this is, if you were reading in First Kings and like, wait a minute, why are we back here? I thought we moved past this. First Kings, First Chronicles, First, Second Samuel, First, Second, and First and Second Chronicles are kind of like mirrors of each other. They give a little bit more detail, but they do tell the same stories. So here we are in First Chronicles, chapter 14, and David. He has been set as king, and is in this barbaric time. If you got a new king, which means a new warlord, and so the enemies wanted to test him out. They wanted to see if this guy was actually worth his salt. And so the Philistines gather up their armies and they go to try to attack Israel. Now, what David does in this is the part that I want to point out to there. When the Philistines attack, David says, David inquires of God in verse 10, chapter 14, verse 10. He says, "So David inquired of God, shall I go and attack the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hands? And the Lord answered him, go, and I will deliver them into your hands." Later on, a similar thing happens again in verse 14. He says, "So David inquired of God again, and God answered him, do not go directly after them, but circle around them and attack them in front of the poplar trees. As soon as you hear the sound of marching at the tops of the poplar trees, move out to battle, because that means God has gone out in front of you to attack the Philistine army." Now, see, what David did here is where Saul failed. King Saul before him did not he wasn't willing to wait on God to tell him what to do. He was not willing, and so there's even sometimes where he didn't even go to God. There's a time where he goes to the witch of Endor to call up Samuel, to ask Samuel, what should I do? Instead of him going to the Lord. But what David does here in chapter 14 is sets up why they call him the man after God's own heart. One of the reasons is because he goes to God to get his military strategy. And God tells him, I'm with you. You should go. You can do this. And so it got me thinking about the kind of decisions that we have to make in our own lives, the decisions that we go through, or should we do this or should we do that? And I'm not talking about being ridiculous with it. I was like, God, should I get out of the left side of the bed or the right side of the bed? God doesn't necessarily care about that. But if we're talking about big, life-changing decisions, we're talking about things that's going to affect your story and affect the way that you are going to live your life, you better believe you need to go and pray and fast and ask God, what should we do? Inquire of the Lord, because God knows everything. And if he knows everything, like, we have the ultimate cheat sheet, because God knows everything. We can go to him and we can ask him, and sometimes he'll show us what to do, sometimes he won't, sometimes it'll be absolutely clear, and sometimes it won't. But the point is that we went with a humble spirit and we said, God, what should we do? And then we make the best decision with the information that we have before us. That's what David did, and it helped establish him as the greatest king of Israel, because everyone feared him, because he was able to repel the Philistine army, someone that Saul had struggled with, that the Israelites had struggled with for hundreds of years. David did it in just a few short battles. He was able to get rid of the Philistines. And so when you're making those decisions in your life, ask God, what should we do? James said, he says, if any of you lacks wisdom, go to the Lord and ask him for it, and he will freely give it. So if you're trying to figure out what to do with this next big decision in your life, go to God and ask him for wisdom. Because wisdom is just knowing the right thing to do at the right time. And then God will freely give it. I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to God when I have big decisions to make, or even maybe even medium ones. I'm not asking what side of bed I should get out on. It's the right, clearly. But what we want to do is we want to go to God and say, what should I do? Should I do these things? And then he will give us the answer. So that's today's good word from God's words. I hope you're doing awesome today. Pastor is bringing a new message tomorrow on the continuing our Home for Christmas series called from the Polar Express, which is just an incredible movie about belief. They're talking about Santa, but we're talking about Jesus, and that you should believe in Jesus, even when it doesn't seem very clear to us. So that's what's going on. Christmas Eve is a week. We're a week away from Christmas, guys. So I hope you join us for Christmas Eve. That is going to be this Friday at 4:30 and 6 o'clock. Hope you're doing a great this week, and we will see you soon next time around. Bye bye.